Getting the bike's nothing new, but this is an anticipated package because it's my new bike. I've gone for a Focus Cayo, and I'm going to basically document the process of putting it together. It's unlike the usual test setup that we have in the Ride Cycling Review or in ridemedia. What we tend to do is get box bikes and go through the building process. We pull them apart, we put them back together, but this one is different because I'm going to source the individual items as they come. I've gone for a Focus Cayo, and it's very popular in my household. My 12-year-old has got one, and his is built with Campagnolo chorus, and it looks glorious. He loves it. It's a tiny bike. Mine's a 54 centimetre, and the plan is to put some SRAM red on it. Anyway, this is the box. I'll show you the frame as I pull it out. We've tested this bike before. The distributors for Focus in Australia are Derby. They're based in Adelaide, and it's actually part of the PON group. So I think they've changed their name from Derby to PON Australia just recently. So the new Focus range is going to be unveiled in Adelaide on September 11. Mike Kluge, who's the founder of the company from Germany, he's a former bike rider of road and track and mountain bike repute. He's a superstar of the world of cycling from the 1990s. He's coming out and he's going to help with the unveiling of the next year's lineup. But this one is my bike, and let's see how it looks. Different to the usual is that it doesn't have to consider all of the accoutrement that comes with a complete bike. So they can be packaged a lot more securely and not have the concern of other parts like wheels rubbing up against it and ruining the deco. But anyway, I'm quite excited. I picked the bike based on the fact that I knew that I liked the Focus Cayo. I've ridden them in the past, and I didn't even think to ask what colour it was. So I can see a little whisper of white I'm happy about. I was a bit concerned because the box was pretty heavy, but I know that this is a sub 900 gram frame in my size. My son's is something like 780 grams when we built that a few years ago. The top of the line Focus, just for the record, is a Izalco, or Izalco Max rather, and that was what was raced by Romain Bardet when he came second in the Tour de France in 2016. That team since switched to Factor bikes. Focus was the bike of AG2R, the team that did the main testing of SRAM Red ETAP. And so it's also one of the brands, Focus is one of the brands which has done ETAP specific frames. And that is to say, there's no cable routing for the electronic bikes that don't have wiring. So I'm going to pull all the padding off and I'll show you some more as we go. Quite a lot of white and a fair bit of black, but I'm happy with that distribution. It's a very tidy looking frame, and I don't mind it. We've got some racing stripes underneath the down tube, and I'll be reminded as I ride along what it's called. My plan is to get off Di2 because I've been on that for years. My bike, one that hangs upstairs, in fact, is the second Di2 group set that ever appeared in Australia. That's a Scott, and I've kept it as a collector's item. Things evolve and it's time to move on, and I'm looking forward to wireless shifting from SRAM. I've used the red ETAP on test bikes before, but I've never owned one. It's been a long association with Shimano, but I'm really keen to make the transition to SRAM Red. The levers feel great. I know that from the test bikes that I've ridden. And basically, it's a system that everyone's got to fall in love with, just by sheer virtue of the simplicity of setting it up. We did a clip of an early SRAM Red ETAP build on a Focus, in fact, and I'll link that down in the comments below. Have a look at that if you want to see what that's all about. But the pairings of the wireless shifting is so easy, and I can't wait to see it on this bike. The aim is to fit it out with some zip wheels, since they're from the same family as SRAM, and and possibly even some zip bars but I'm going to go back to my old faithful Bontrager blender stem, because I just love the integration that that's got for lights and computer mounts and different things. And I think the other little missing piece of the puzzle is I'm going to go to Schwalb's road tyres that are Australian specific. At the moment I've forgotten the name of the tyre, but I had them on my last bike. Absolutely fantastic rubber. I know from past history that the 54 is the right size for me. On my previous bike, a Trek Emonda, I used an H2 fit, which was a slightly taller head tube. I don't know how this is going to work out. I think we might see a couple of spaces, because I was always adamant that my flexibility was okay and that I could get down low. This gives me that option, but on the Trek I find myself sitting up a little bit higher at the front. And although I was resistant to it until I got that bike, I now see that there's benefits of it. I could ride longer, be more comfortable, and I'm not saying I'm going to put a big stack of spaces on underneath the stem, but I think this is a little bit smaller than the H2 fit. I've got the box on the ground, new frame in my hand, a big smile on my face. The first observation is how neat it looks without any of the cabling requirements on the frames. Anyway, can't wait to get on board this one. Great looking bike. I might just put it on the scale so you understand what the frame weighs without any bits. Okay, so I was told it was a sub 900 gram frame. It's not quite true. We've got a few bidden bolts in there, so perhaps if I pulled them out it would drop below the 908 that's showing on the scales right now. Still not much to it. We've always included a frame set pricing on all the test bikes that we've run through Ride. Frame sets aren't particularly, or they hadn't been particularly popular in recent years, but they're coming back into vogue, I think mainly because people realise that they can build it up with old group sets. The frame sets do come with extras. I'll have a look and see what's inside. I'm happy with the balance of white and black. Looks good. So they do take out some of the fuss, because you don't want to be sourcing these other bits after you've bought the bike. Worth noticing, it's got a stem. Woohoo! Got all the fittings. I'm going to keep that in the bag, so that's the headset fittings. And no fuss. I see some spaces with Focus branding on them. No fuss edition, and that weighs in at 21 grams. A rear derailleur hanger, which comes shipped separate. Oh, that's a spare one, because there's one on the frame. So that's a pretty neat little touch. If you're interested, with the bag included. 13 grams, including bolts. I can pull this out and safely say that I don't think that that'll end up on my bike. She's an aluminium option, but I think that I'll keep that for a spare. I've got a few up in the workshop. It's a 27.2 from a glance. Yes, 27.2, which is seems to be the seat post of choice at the moment. It's a slimmer. The gone are the days of the big fat oversized 31.6s and the like. With an aluminium one you wouldn't get much movement, but there are some that have been engineered for a little bit of flex. If you're interested, the aluminium that comes with the Cayo weighs in at exactly 250 grams with bolts and the assembly kit instructions, which is just literally stapled A4. And far from a minor omission, I didn't get around to showing you the fork. There's probably too much detail, but I'm going to document it anyway, and you can tell me if you want more or less when we do future bike tests. I figure I've always done more is better, but I also understand the need for a bit of brevity. There's potential to make these hour-long epics, and I don't think that's necessary. It goes without saying, we've got a carbon steerer on what's a pretty attractive fork. It'll look nicer when it's built to SRAM red. Always like the lines of the Focuses. I think they're just clean, elegant, simple. I'm pretty excited. It's not every day you get a new bike, and this one's been a long time in coming, so I'm looking forward to it.